Alright, this is a basic Photoshop tutorial. I'm going to go to File, New, I'm going to go to Pixels, Inches, and I'm going to put it width by 11 by 8.5 by 300. This is standard illustration. I'm going to hit OK. Alright, now I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to fill that layer with a color, say brown. I'm going to go to my pencil tool. If you can't see, if there's a little triangle in the bottom, if I hold it down, I can get to more tools. So if you can't see this one, I'm going to grab the pencil tool, and I'm going to select black, and I'm going to go to a new layer. I'm going to right click, change the size, click this, and I'm going to turn the opacity up to 100. Now I'm going to turn it down to 19, and you can see the difference. It's doing half, and if I cover over it, it does more. I'm going to press Alt-Control-Z to backspace. I'm going to grab my selection rectangle. If I draw this and I draw inside of it, it won't draw anywhere but there. If I select my rectangle tool, I can pick it up and move it, or I can right click, select inverse, and I'm only drawing on the outside. If I press Control D, I deselect everything. If I grab my rectangular selection tool or my lasso, I can grab things in a specific order, and if I hit Control Alt, I can cut pieces out, or if I hit Shift, I can add pieces to it. The same works with this tool. Alt to subtract, Shift to add, Control D to get rid of it. I can also grab circles. I can fill those circles in. Now if I fill that circle in, Control D, I can turn down the opacity of that layer. I can press the eyeball and hide that layer. If I hold down Control and I click on the layer in this little thumbnail view, it'll select it. So I can make another layer. Control D, Alt Control Z, Control D. If I drag a file in like this, it's got a piece that won't let me edit it. So I right click, rasterize layer, and now I can grab it and cut it out and move it. And if I grab a piece and press Control J, it will duplicate just that piece. If I press Control J on an entire layer, it will duplicate and make two layers. Let's see. If I want to make text, I go to my text tool, and now I have text. I can select off of it or press Enter. If I want to change the color of text, click it, press Control A, grab here, select my color, select off of it. If I click it, hit Control A, I can adjust if it's bold or any other settings. And if I click this, I can go through the entire list of fonts. Alright, I need to make a new layer because I can't draw on that layer, and never draw on your background layer. If I go to a layer and I hit Control U, I can adjust the color or the hue of an entire layer. And if I go to my saturation, I can bring it closer to gray, black and white, or I can adjust it all the way up to pure saturation. I can turn it light or dark. And say I've got a picture. If I go to that layer and I hit Image, Adjustment, Brightness, Contrast, I can adjust the contrast of a picture to where the lights are lighter and the darks are darker. And if I go to brightness, I can turn down the darkness or up the lightness. This is called my Navigator, and I love this tool. If you can't find it, go to Windows, go down to Navigator, and click it on. If you hold down Control R, you'll bring up your rulers, and you can grab a ruler and drag it in, and use these to measure by. And say they're in your way, but you don't want to lose them. If you press Control H, you can hide them or bring them back. And if I Control click and go over them, I can drag out, Control, move out. If I grab my pencil tool and I hold down Shift, I can draw a straight line. If I click and hold down Shift and just click around, I can draw like this. I've got a pen tool. If I go to the pen tool and I click, I can make solid shapes. 1 second, I'm on the wrong layer. If this happens to you and you can't see it, you turn your thing off of path and you put it on shape. And now whenever I connect these centers, they're a solid piece. And if I want to alter that, I can hold down Control and click and grab an edge. And if I want to do anything more, I have to rasterize the layer, and that means making it flat. I'm going to get rid of that layer and make a new one. If I click and hold the next point, I can create a Bezier curve. And if I hold down Control, I can adjust the handles, and the handles allow me to adjust the curve itself. If I click here, you see how it's curved? If I hold this and move it, I can make it more straight. And I have a shape tool down here. If I go to the very bottom, Custom Shapes, and I click this, go to this little piece, and I say I want to see all of them, say OK, and now I'll have a ton of different shapes I can just draw out, and holding Shift will constrain them. Second, on the wrong layer. When I'm on this tool, I need to make sure I'm off of path and on shape, and then I can draw my shape out. Now, if I want to make a perfect sphere or a perfect rectangle, I hold down Shift, click and drag, and now I'm going to have a perfect square for anything that I'm doing. Alright, this should be a basic Photoshop tutorial, and this should give you almost everything you need. I guess there's one more step. If I want to make a normal map, let's see if that's installed. Filter, I'm going to rasterize this layer. Oh, if I want everything to be on one layer, I'll hold down Alt, Control, Shift, E, and now everything's on one layer. Make a new layer by pressing this button. If I go to Filter, Other, or NVIDIA Tools, Normal Map, and I'm going to hit, let's see, in this 16. Alright, normal map filter's broken. So that's useless.